Module 7, McGowanCL, January 10th, 2016. Good morning, class. Today we're going to talk about putting the Great Conflict, World War II, into a timeline consisting of 10 important dates and events. On the board behind me are just the years 1939 to 1945. We're all aware that those were the years that World War II occurred, start and end. Those were the years that World War II was fought. And also you can see the World War II site link below the dates behind me that you will utilize on the internet today with your in-class laptops for the main assignment. As you can see, the link is labeled timetoast.com. It's a really good link. I think you'll enjoy it. So please take a look at the board for a minute. Notice the dates, notice the link. I will provide the details verbally on these dates, years, as to what happened. And going forward here, as you can see, we have the following dates behind me. 10 dates, important, significant dates that occurred in World War II, which was probably the greatest conflict that this world has ever seen. We'll start with the first date over here to my right, to your left. September of 1939, very significant time. Germany did invade Poland at that time, which pretty much started World War II. Most of Poland was taken in days. Continuing forward from left to right for you folks, January 1940, Germany was busy. Invaded Denmark, Norway, France, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. All of these countries in Europe fell within weeks. To continue, we stay in January 1940. Germany took a big chance at this point and started the Battle of Britain over the skies of Great Britain. Germany, at that point, suffered its first defeat of the war over the skies of England and abandoned its invasion plans to invade Great Britain. To move forward some more, as you can see, the dates are going from left to right. We are now to June 1941, where Germany probably took the biggest gamble in the war by invading the USSR, the Soviet Union, which is pretty much now Russia today. And this opened up what became known as the Eastern Front. December 1941, a date which will live in infamy. We all know as this month, this date, actually December 7th exactly. As Americans, this is very significant for us. The Imperial Japanese Navy attacked the U.S. Pacific Fleet in Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor, as most of us know, if some of us don't know, but I'm pretty sure all of you students know, it's United States territory. So Japan invaded America, so to speak. The U.S. enters the war at this point, opening up the Pacific Theater. To continue some more, we go down to October, or we move over to October of 1942. America's been in the war a year now. The Battle of Stalingrad. Stalingrad is in Russia, deep into Russia. Germany's entire Sixth Army. Now we have the Germans and the Russians fighting in Russian territory. Germany's entire Sixth Army is lost, and the war begins to turn in the favor of the Allies. To refresh everybody's memory, we all know who the Allies were. Pretty much United States, Great Britain, France, and the Soviet Union. So the war has turned here in the favor of the Allies. Germany is starting to get into trouble. We skip a couple years to a very, very significant time, June 1944. I'm sure you all have a hunch on what date, what event I'm about to tell you that occurred that month and year. And that was when the Allied Expeditionary Force, under the command of Dwight D. Eisenhower, American general, lands on the coast of northern France, Normandy to be exact, on what will later be called D-Day. We all have heard of D-Day. It was pretty much when the Allies, the Americans, the British, the French, the Soviets were fighting the Germans from the east. But when the Allies invaded Normandy, France, and that was pretty much the beginning of the end for Germany. The Allies came into northern France and pretty much pushed their way towards Berlin. The second front that Joseph Stalin was the pretty much leader of the Soviets. He had been asking and demanding for this invasion for 3 years. Well, now it has now opened up. The second front has opened up with the invasion of Normandy, or D-Day, June 1944. We are now going to continue over on the other side of the board to my left, and we're pretty much near the end of the war at this point, of April of 1945. Adolf Hitler, we all have heard of Adolf Hitler. If no one has heard of Adolf Hitler, I would be very surprised. We know that he was the leader of Nazi Germany during this war. At this point, Germany is pretty much collapsing. Adolf Hitler commits suicide shortly before the fall of Berlin, which was the capital of Germany, and I believe it is still the capital of Germany. The surrender of German forces now occurs in Europe. So we have the Germans now out of the war. We are pretty much at the end of the war at this point, but we still have countries fighting like the Americans, the Allies, and the Japanese. By June 1945, and as you notice with D-Day, which was in June of 1944, as you can see over here, not even a year later, Adolf Hitler committed suicide. So things happened pretty quickly. June 1945, only a couple months after Adolf Hitler committed suicide, the United States develops the atom bomb. And as you can see, as we move to the end of the timeline here, June 1945, the atom bomb is tested, it's developed. By August 1945, the United States successfully drops 2 atom bombs on Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, thus ending World War II. So these are probably the most, these are probably the most important and significant dates in World War II history. They all occurred between the years 1939 and 1945. You can also look up here on the far right of the board and notice the rubric that will be used to grade your 2 in-class assignments today. There's going to be 2. Your first in-class assignment, if I can explain a little bit longer here with my notes, will be for you to retrieve, everyone's going to retrieve their in-class laptops today from the laptop cabinet. Join your appropriate groups. You all know who your groups are. And make a note of the timeline dates on the board up here. You will access the timetoast.com website, the link site on the board. This will take you to the site. Well, all of these dates, you only see the dates right now, but you will see the descriptions, the dates and the descriptions when you access this site, and what took place during those years during World War II. To repeat, you will be instructed on and be able to recognize key and significant dates and events and the countries that occurred during that time frame, those dates during World War II. Moving forward a bit, you will then take a piece of notebook paper. I assume everyone has pens and pencils today. You will use your notebook paper in landscape format or design. Turn it that way. Construct your own timelines with full descriptions as best as you can that you get from this site, the link behind me. In addition, you could search the internet for any other dates and events that were very important and significant in World War II. However, you must cite those sites. Fill out your timeline as best as you can. Remember, you will be assigned to your groups, just a reminder, so everyone will have a responsibility today within your group, such as one student being the leader, one being the timer, one being the presenter, one being the recorder, and one being the runner. And of course, there is going to be the job of the idea man. You will have 15 minutes to complete this in-class assignment. However, once completed, your presenter will then come up to the front of the class, or the front of the room, and present your group timeline. 10 important dates and events from World War II. Even if they are the same from this timetoast.com site, it still has to be presented professionally, including providing correct grammar and spelling. So let's be aware of that. In addition, I will be walking around the room to monitor and answer any questions. Is there any questions right now? No questions? I'll continue here with the rest of the opening here. I'll also be monitoring all of you students today for your social skills. How you work with each other. How your rapport is with each other. How you all stay on task. It's very important. Please be aware of that. You will be graded for this as a class participation grade today. So just make a note of that. In addition, as I roam the room, I'll be asking a lot of questions for you to mention what events of World War II occurred on these certain dates, just like from the timeline for review. I want to keep reviewing you. I want you to get this in your heads today. I'm looking for you to understand, have some memory of this lesson and the details. I'll be looking to assess your learning on the topic today as the class time moves forward. You may be asked to elaborate on your answers, your verbal answers, so be aware of that. I will also be filling out a student feedback form, very important, make a note of this, while I roam the room. I'll be distributing this form to you today when you leave the class, to let you all know how I determine your participation today as a result. This too will count as an in-class assignment. Another in-class assignment today, the second one, will be a fill-in-the-blank worksheet with these same World War II timeline dates and events. They'll be issued to you, all of you today towards the end of the class, end of the period. This too will count as an in-class assignment. For example, I might say, the first question may say, you'll see it when you get it, in blank, United States invaded blank. We all know, or in 1939, the United States invaded blank. We know the blank at the end is going to be Poland. Excuse me, back up, I made a mistake. In 1939, Germany invaded blank. Sorry about that, students. In 1939, Germany invaded, you'd write Poland. You will see the assignment when you get it. As a result of today's lesson, well actually, backing up, that'll be the fill-in-the-blank assignment. Dates and events will be issued. That'll be at the end of the period. It'll also count as an in-class assignment. You will work on this fill-in-the-blank worksheet individually. You'll hand that in to me before the end of the class. You can put it in my bin on my desk. So that's important. Get that to me at the end of class today. You will have 10 minutes to finish that second in-class assignment. As a result of today's lesson, you'll have the opportunity to take and apply what was presented. See how this great conflict in World War II, in world history, molded our world what it is today. You will take this knowledge obtained today, be able to apply it to future studies. Say you go on to college, which I hope most of you do, and you're studying World War II. You can apply the knowledge today to when you're studying World War II, say in college, in the future. You may, or most probably will, get an assignment later in the school year asking you to write a report on something that you studied during the school year, in which, if any of you chooses World War II, you will have prior knowledge from this lesson to do so. So make a note of that. By the end of the lesson today, you'll be able to tell and present a quick timeline of 10 important and significant dates that occurred from the beginning to the end of World War II. This was a vast conflict, students. So to take 6 years, so many battles, so many tribulations, so many trials and error, so many countries, so many people were killed, so much machinery. It was incredible, the numbers of this conflict. To be able to just pinpoint those 10 events would be a plus for all of you. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand today. Does anyone have any questions? Did you want to, maybe scan for any questions? Anybody?
Any questions?
I don't have any questions
No
today.
questions?
I'm ready to start.
Ready to start, great.
I have no questions. I'm ready to start.
All right, if there's any questions as we move forward, students, please let me know. Please be reminded that I will be roaming the room to answer any questions that you may have, but I will also be assessing you on the material in question as you work on your timelines. Please go ahead and retrieve your in-class laptops from the laptop cabinet and begin. You have 15 minutes.